Hey, Gabriel,
Hey, Gaybros, Jose.
where are we today?
Right now, I'm under the third atmospheric river of January.
Oh, the third already. That's cool. Is that you guys have been like what, 4 weeks, almost like a river per week?
Rains non-stop, non-stop.
But I lived for 10 years in San Francisco, and I had the feeling that 9 out of those 10 years, there was a drought going on. And it's like every single day that it was raining, it's like, oh, it was like really needed. So maybe you guys are like
But
feeding
rain
out.
is never needed in San Francisco. We need snow in the mountains that will melt. Sure, go snow in the mountains, and then bring us that water in the summer. That's all I want.
Well, I would say that at least it varies the type of weather, no?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm in Chicago. It's 37 degrees. It's now is regular winter. Before we started recording, I went to run an errand, and it was like an hour 15 walking. It was nice. It was
Manageable.
There is no snow. Yeah, there is no snow. It hasn't rained, so it's nice weather. Nice January weather.
It's weather. I don't think
It's
anyone's
weather.
going to call 37.
It's a season. It's a season. Something that in San Francisco is hard to identify. So, but talking about things hard to identify, what did we watch this time?
We watched the 2012 Joe Wright, right? Is the director?
You're right. Yeah.
It's funny because I love this director so much, but I can't remember his name. The 2012 adaptation of the Russian novel Anna Karenina, starring
Keira Knightly.
Keira Knightly, thank you, and basically every other actor you've ever met that does a period.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I think that there are some actors that they love to do period pieces, and there is a, hey, if it's something that it takes place on this century, I'm not interested. I'm like a myth of.
British actors, I'm guessing it's because of BBC. I feel like they're way more into period pieces than American actors.
Well, maybe because they have a past in the
That's
UK
true.
that
Although
America doesn't.
America existed in the 1850s.
Yes, but maybe they don't want to do pieces that they incorporate slaves.
It's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
Although to pretend that the Russians didn't have slaves is ridiculous.
That's true. That's also true. I think that there are like some creative liberties here. Did you read the book?
I did, and but in college, so
Okay.
like 15
20 months ago. Yeah.
But this honestly made me want to reread it. I might try at brunch, and then I'll quickly give up and switch to TikTok. But at least people will see me holding.
They will see you holding a 600-page book, yeah, or more, yeah, because it's Tolstoy. And this was my pick. The reason why I picked this is because recently I rewatched a tournament that I think that we already recorded about it, but I wanted to show it to my boyfriend as one movie that I really like, and I shouldn't because it's a war movie and it's a period piece. Is that they're like two of the things that I dislike the most in cinema, and I love it. Every single time that I watch it, I feel like impressed about like, hey, this is way better than it should be, and it's super easy to watch, like really good pace, the acting amazing, the scripts like top notch, but I never watched anything else by this guy, so I was like pretty curious to see, is that, hey, can this guy make another period piece appealing to me?
Wait, this is only the second Joe Wright film you've ever seen?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I didn't watch Pride and Prejudice, I didn't watch Darkest Hour, I didn't watch Hannah, Cyrano.
You didn't watch
The what?
You didn't watch Hannah with Saoirse Ronan and Kate Blanchett?
No, I think that you told me about it, and I didn't.
That's worth seeing. I can't believe this. I thought you saw Cyrano.
No, I knew of it. That was the tweet, if I know that's Cyrano, not with Peter Dinklage, I don't know. But no, and I didn't watch Darkest Hour. Darkest Hour was one of these like nominated to the Oscars, to a year where I watched everything except that movie. I don't know why. It was more like a coincidence that I felt that, oh, I didn't watch it. Well, it's over. The year is over. I don't feel forced to watch it.
It's weird because I really, really like this director, but he has a tendency to make films I don't care about, like The Soloist or Pan or Cyrano. Although, well, when we talk about Anna Karenina, I will be complimentary of his experimental period piece storytelling devices.
So, as I already said, why did I pick this? Can you summarize it? Because I watched it, I have to warn this, but it's like I watched this like 2.5 weeks ago.
I watched it 2 weeks ago for sure. I completely thought this was my pick. So yes, I can summarize it, but I'm pulling up the Wikipedia page. Because,
the Wikipedia is going to summarize it for us.
And in fairness to me, I was violently ill last week when we were supposed to record about this. Okay, but oh my gosh. The story takes place in Moscow, where we meet a noble.
Is it Moscow? Because Anna Karenina.
They go to and from Moscow between like a little city in Moscow. So Anna Karenina lives in a littler city with her husband Jude Law, who is extremely pious and pretentious and thinks that he is a big fish, when in reality nobody gives a shit about him in Moscow. So Anna Karenina's brother lives in Moscow, and I can't remember his name. Anyway,
the guy from Succession.
Yep. But I wanted to remember the name of the character.
Oblonsky.
No, that's the guy she. Well, I'm jumping ahead.
That's Vronsky.
Oh Jesus. The first names they use in this book are not Russian names they use today, which I found interesting. Okay, so Anna's brother, living in Moscow, cheated on his sweet, sweet, sweet wife, and so she wants a divorce, and Anna wants to go visit her brother and to try and like fix the relationship in Moscow. So she asks her husband, "Can I go?" And he says something super funny about, because your brother's an adulterer, I have to be without my wife for a week. And I was like, yeah. Good one, Jude.
Okay, Jude. But one thing that I wanted to ask you, and probably you know about this, but it's like, why? Because divorce was an option, but also at the same time, it was not a good option.
Well, I think it's only an option if the husband agreed to it, but it would mean like social ruin for just the woman, of course, because that's the patriarchy we built and sustain today.
Yeah.
So she goes and she's trying to fix things with her brother. She seems to have contacts in Moscow because she's a society person, not like royalty or anything, but she's.
But she's not well known because she's told in the train that it's like, I never heard of you.
Yeah, but she belongs to the high class. She just hasn't left her small village that much. So when she goes to Moscow, she's welcomed into the high class, but nobody knows her. And while she's there, she attends some balls and falls in love with a dashing young soldier who's not like a let's go fight war soldier. He's more like a I'll have a nice office and a desk sort of soldier.
Yeah, he's like a colonel or something.
Yeah. So he's involved with Princess, wife of Michael Fassbender.
How many princesses are there?
I don't know. And also they don't really have the term princess in Russian, so they're trying to like adapt their aristocratic structure to ours.
And that's like Princess Kitty, like the one that is like the sister of the sister-in-law to Anna.
Yeah. Yes. So at one of these balls, she kind of has this weird, I'm not going to say love at first sight, but lust at first sight experience with this soldier, who, by the way, I know we have different taste in men, but I find that man achingly beautiful.
We have different taste in men.
Basically start an affair, and there's this entire side story with somebody working in the country. That was way more fleshed out in the book, and it was supposed to be this comparison of like life in the city is wicked, life in the hard work is good. It came across in the film, but I feel like that plot line didn't make a ton of sense.
Nope. It's something that Yeah, you could have removed it almost completely.
Yeah.
So
Except
is that
there's
when
a
we?
whole bunch of book, so like, oh, I guess we have to.
Just keep going because otherwise I'm going to be like, just start.
So their affair becomes very intense and they're unable to hide it, and basically she's embarrassing Jude Law like crazy and getting like becoming persona non grata with high society because they know she's a cheater. Also, this guy was supposed to be with the princess, and so the princess is pissed, and obviously the princess has a higher authority than her. And then eventually she gets pregnant with his kid, and she finally asks her husband for divorce, but he's not sure if he wants to do it or not. And then is there anything else you want to add? Because then she kills herself. I mean, there's a lot of flowery 18th century Russian prose in there, but essentially that's the story.
Yeah, I mean, there is like one more thing that it makes the movie goes an extra mile for making Anna's character pretty easy to dislike.
Yeah.
But pretty easy. And that's something that I wanted to ask you, is if actually like the purpose of the original book, it was about like just a critique to loose women that they cheat on their husband, because it feels like quite a bit about it, because even like when the husband is like, hey, I forgive you, come back, because she really misses her son. That is like, we don't know, I think that it has like some kind of health issue. So she's like really missing him. She cannot see him back. And then he's like, okay, yeah, you can go back, just come back home. And he's like, yeah, I don't love him anymore. And then he says like, oh, you know what? I'm wrong. I still love him, so fuck you. After he actually forgives, so like after she gets forgiven and she says no to the other guy. And the other guy, like the colonel or whatever, is like at the end, we discover that he has been fooling around like with others.
Do we know that?
It's pretty obvious.
There are hints at it. I'm just not convinced that.
Wait.
Wanted us to know.
Wait, isn't there like a scene where Anna looks through the window and that woman
came to pick him up? But
yeah.
They were going to do paperwork. He explained it to her.
But he didn't say that it was with her, so honestly, is that I think that Anna may have a reason for being jealous, but Anna is also a bitch.
To answer your question, I'm not going to pretend that I remember this book very well from 15 years ago, but if the movie is anything to go by, I think the point isn't that women can be loose, because I think the story was actually pretty sympathetic to falling in love with someone that you're not married to. Like that, like you could understand, this is a shitty situation, but you can understand that you can't control what you feel. The problem is when she became a psycho bitch, when she finally got him and just made his life a living hell, when he was like, I love you, let's move away to the country, let's be together.
Yeah, so I don't know if that was like part of the adaptation, or it was like part of the original work. And if it was like part of the original work, a part of me was like, what the fuck is the point of this book? I even feel weird, about like what I'm watching here. I don't know what to take away, because it's almost like karma, kind of Anna, you were not a good wife, and now you're going to die alone in front of a train.
Because she killed herself.
Do you like the foreshadowing when she's in the station the first time? At that point, I remember. Yeah, at that point, like, oh, that's right. That's what happens.
So actually, trains are a huge motif in the book. Like, there's always talking about trains, where they're going, how fast they get there, and this exact same motif was used in Little Children, if you remember. The trains were always coming and going, which was another film about adultery and cheating on partners, and that was their inspiration for Little Children.
Well, but maybe Tolfield actually took the right part away from Anna Karenina for just using the motif in the right way. Here is that the trains are only like when they're traveling there, but I don't remember that they talk too much about it.
Oh, no. In the movie, it's more about sounds. They're constantly at train stations. You hear the train. Multiple people die on trains. Connections are made on trains with other people, other characters.
Yeah. So, what do you think? This movie reminded me a bit of Romeo plus Juliet.
So before you go in, I want to throw in, because I left it out in my synopsis, there's a lot of like surrealist effects, almost like Buñuel, where there will be a scene in a castle and the camera zooms in and then zooms out, and all of a sudden Anna, without having moved, is on a train, or all of a sudden everyone's on stage and it's a play being acted, but then they walk off the world. So okay,
it's
now
like,
you say it reminds you of Moulin Rouge, or
it reminds me of Romeo and Juliet. About like we're going to be like taking a classic piece and we're putting it in a different setting. In this case, the setting is half of the movie is a theater play. Is that there are like some scenes that they are like played in very tight frame scenarios, as if you were like seeing a play directly. Like for example, when they had the horses around, technically is amazing. There is this point that she's even like just like walking on the scaffolding above the stage, if I recall correctly. Like she's like going through the streets of Moscow with the poor people or something. That is like, they're using using the resource of this is a theater play. But then other times it's like, nope, we just like turn like the curtain up and it's like now you're in the middle of Russia. It's like completely open-ended. This is a castle or this is like whatever. But I found it like pretty inconsistent. And it ended up being like a novelty instead of actually like an artistic commitment to do something.
I don't say that you're wrong, but I will say that it didn't bother me. And in fact, some of the scenes were quite moving in the way they shifted my perspective of what was happening so differently in the different contexts. But I can see absolutely that it is inconsistent. And if there was a point to doing all this, besides I did find it beautiful sometimes, and I appreciate beauty, I don't understand if anything was being said. Unless we were just supposed to be chastised for examining these people as if they're acting out something fake. I don't know.
Oh no, I mean I was trying to take something away, but at the same time it's like if you are not consistent with using this resource, you're watering it down. So it made me appreciate a tiny bit more Romeo plus Juliet. That is true. It's easier to do what Baz Luhrmann did for Romeo plus Juliet from the perspective that is like you just go to LA and just record all around the city. It's like it's not that hard. In this case, it's that you have to create theater stages for simulating these scenes in a very tight environment. And they do it.
Choreography, my God, the choreography with such a huge cast was insane.
Yeah. And I had to say that is like from a technical perspective, I find it breathtaking. Like some of the scenes is like, this is incredible. Like with the horses, when they're like just running around, it's like, this is incredible. Like visually it's super striking, but it doesn't really serve the movie. It's like, it serves like a video clip. That is like, hey, it's 4 minutes. I walk away with like, that was cool. It was well made, But as a narrative piece, I felt confused. And honestly, at some point, I felt boring and upset at it.
You felt bored by this narrative device, or bored by the movie?
By the movie. It's like, I think that is like, hey, this is not helping me. It's like, it's even every single time that we jump to another scene, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be finding something that I tries to be grounded in reality or grounded in a theater play, and I don't see the correlation. If it was something like, it's like when Anna is becoming a psycho bitch, it's like those are the scenes, that we're going to be like doing as a theater play. If there was some kind of consistency that I could analyze, but this is not Charles Kaufman
or country. My college courses years ago, the themes in this are how superficial city life is and how authentic country life is. And that comes with like, you work very hard in the fields when you live in the country, right? And that's closer to God than these rich people who don't have to work, that walk around and do these moralless things. So do you think they used this device to, when people were getting the shittiest, it became the stage play, and the more holy they became or authentic they became, the more it was just, oh, here's some people working in a field?
Not really, honestly. It's like, because they are like balls. No, it's a good guess, but it's like, just think that they are ball scenes that they're in gigantic salons, in gigantic ballrooms. So it's a bit more about like, they don't cut back, is that they want to play with contrasts when they're using this device. And it's a visual, it's, as you said, it's like, it's beautiful, but it doesn't help making the movie any more palatable for me.
Yeah, I can see that. but I liked some of them so much.
Oh no, they're beautiful. Don't get me wrong, because like the one with the horses, I was like, this being amazing, and there I like, for example, a couple of the scenes where they leave like all of the stage empty, and I think there is like a scenes with Keira Knightly talking with Jude Law, and Jude Law is like sitting, and the light is like completely contrast. There is a, you are doing this as if it was a theater play, and it's cool, but if you are using it like randomly across the movie, it's like it doesn't have the same impact, And it's not that.
I'm embarrassed that I don't know more about Joe Wright, because again, really like most of the stuff I've seen.
Yeah.
I bet he started out as a stage director.
Maybe, because it's like, if you think about about a tournament, and not only about that scene that I like so much, that I think that is like perfectly staged, but is that the rest of the movie is like incredibly well staged, incredibly well shot. Is that he has a very keen artistic eye. So, and for a stage director, is that you have to make the most with a very limited real estate. I feel like that's super critical. So there is no doubts about him as a filmmaker. I just feel like this for me didn't land. It just made me, and I'm going to say something, this reminded me why I don't like period pieces.
And that's fine. I also felt like the film, particularly in the second half or maybe the final third, I think they're trying to wrap up about 400 pages of Tolstoy's writing into like 40 minutes, and it just feels like a mess.
Yeah, it starts well.
It does start solid.
Yeah, like the first act, I think there is is that this is going to be amazing and super engaged. I want to hear more maybe about like the society of the time. But then it's like, there were like so much stuff, as you were saying, about like the life in the field, in the country. It's like, it didn't land for me. It's like, you have to commit if you want to display that, but don't give me like a scene with this guy working the fields that he disappeared for an hour in the movie.
I can't remember if I was high or not when I watched this. I may have been a little bit, but I remember as the film was wrapping up, they switched to the guy working in the fields, and I was like, I completely forgot about this.
Yeah, you remember like when Kitty and him get married, they go to the field, and then they go there, and the husband is dying. So like the brother, I think that was the brother, no? The husband's brother is dying, and the brothel woman is there with him, and I just feel it's like, is there a point to this? Because we only had like 5 minutes of this versus 2 hours of the rest of the story. So if this is going somewhere, I don't know.
And if I read the book 15 years ago, and most people that saw this movie did not, I don't think anybody really quite understood what they were going for with this.
Yeah, I just felt like this could have had a way better script. And it's like, it's one of those situations that I feel like when you're adapting a book, but it's like, come on, it's like, this novel is like, what, from 1800?
My best guess is 1850, but I don't know exactly.
Yeah, so let's just say
1875 to 1877.
Okay, so 150
released
years.
in installments like Hulu, an FX series.
No. If it was Netflix, for example, it would be like just in a single day.
That's why I said Hulu and FX, where they make you wait a week between episodes.
Dude, you are impatient. You have been spoiled by Netflix and the likes. I personally love like the serial format of having to wait for a week. I love it. I don't want it to go away. Yeah. But yeah, so it's almost 150 years old. And it's if it's more than 100 years old, I think that you should have the freedom for, I'm going to be throwing away parts of this story, and I'm going to have a clear idea about like what I want to be the takeaway of this. It's not about like trying to condense 600 pages or 1,000 pages in 2 hours.
I agree. And if they really wanted to be true to the message of Tolstoy's novel, they could have done it, just like you said, without using literal elements from the novel itself.
Yeah. I mean, but it's that you have to edit. You have to actually, it's harder. You have to have like a really good screenwriter for this. Because
he wrote it, right? Or he adapted it?
I think that he may adapt it. Let me just check sorry, I had it open and I lost it. No. It was Thomas Stopper.
Oh.
He didn't write. my god! And this guy wrote Brazil. And he also wrote Shakespeare in Love.
It's interesting that Atonement was adapted from an author that I really, really, really like. He clearly likes adaptations. Was The Soloist a novel?
Oh no, you're the one that is familiar with this work. Dang, how I hate! I just click on Joe Wright on IMDb, and the trailer that they have is that scene from Atonement.
Oh, nice.
Like that tracking shot. That is that's amazing. But yeah, I was not a fan. I was more like at the end.
I enjoyed it, but I felt like the first half of the film had more emotional inertia. I was way more invested, and then the last half I was like, okay, let's wrap this up.
Well, I mean, because the thing is the back and forth of Anna Karenina between like, oh, I regret my actions, I want to go back with my husband, and it's like, you know what, maybe not, I'm going to go there, is something that you're reading a 1,200-page novel probably is tolerable. But in a 2-hour movie, feels like a waste of time. And that's what I felt in this movie. I felt like this movie didn't respect my time. And at the end, I was upset at it. You can ask my boyfriend.
They were like, let's just try and make her crazier and crazier and crazier until they believe she's going to jump in front of a train. And I'm like, well, okay. But it made her not believable as a character.
Nope.
I was like,
nope. I'm definitely, I'm definitely not likable at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So if that was their purpose, it's like, they succeeded, because I just felt like Anna Karenina was a bitch, and she deserved everything that happened to her. Instead of, as you were saying, like being a bit more of a victim of falling in love, unfortunately, for someone else. So, should we go over the questions?
Let's do it.
Would you watch it again?
My answer is yes. My guess is like in 5 years, I'll be like, oh, I'll remember that experimental film Joe Wright did, and I'll watch like 2/3 of it, and I'll stop watching it.
I won't watch it again. I won't watch it because it's like I already reaffirm. This is more like renewing my vows of hating period pieces. So I don't need to go and watch it again, especially not now, not in 2 years.
Well, you're gonna hate my next pick.
Anna Karenina again. Would you recommend it?
Probably. This sounds condescending, and maybe it is, but it's kind of like middle brow. It's like accessible film that's trying to be something elevated. So if I could tell someone wanted to experiment with something that was a little more challenging, I'd be like, well, check out Anna Karenina.
So do you think that this would be, if someone asks you, that is like, can you give me something a bit artistic, but not too artistic? Do you think that Anna Karenina would be like one of the top 5 movies that they pop up on your brain?
I mean, after Mother? Yeah.
After all Aronofsky? A bit pretentious, a bit empty.
You're right. The answer is no. I'm probably never going to not recommend this, but it's not that I wouldn't recommend it. I think there's an audience out there for this sort of film.
Sure, but if they were to ask you, tell me a period piece that you like.
If you were to say, name a movie you kind of like based on a Tolstoy novel. Released in installments.
Okay. It has to be a novel released in installments by Tolstoy that it was adapted into a movie. Fair. They're like a very, very specific question that I can trigger the answer, Anna Karenina. I would never recommend this. Because the thing is that if someone asks me about like, hey, tell me a period piece, I could say my first answer is that I don't like period pieces. But they tell me that, no, tell me, you have to know of a good one. I could be Atonement. And it asks me, oh, I already watched it. Tell me another. And it's like, that's the only worthy of being watched.
We need to watch Barry Lyndon.
No.
I'm going to make you watch Barry Lyndon.
No. I think that I told you that I tried to watch it and it was like 15 minutes. Long time ago. Long time ago. I was in college. Yeah. So no, I cannot fathom any scenario where I recommend this out of my own volition. Would you remember Anna Karenina?
I mean, yes, because I know the plot of Anna Karenina, the book. So yes, I will remember what I mean, I never forgot that Anna Karenina threw herself in front of a train. So yes, I'll remember it.
The funny thing is, like, I knew about that from one day, long time ago at the Eagle, that you told me. That is, hey, there were like a lot of train motifs in the book, and at the end she jumps in front of a train.
That's a very good summary. You're welcome.
I wish I'm already going to be like giving the answer to another question. I wish that this had been a short only with that. A lot of trains and then a woman jumping in front of a train. Fill the gaps.
Anna Karenina screaming at the guy, "You don't want to be with me!" and then running in front of
a train. So I won't remember it. I won't remember anything else that happens on this movie. Nothing at all.
I'll probably remember Succession guy now better because he was in Succession.
Yes. And he actually won like the Golden Globe, the Emmy, and everything.
For Anna Karenina?
No, for Succession.
Oh, for Succession. Okay, I was like, what?
Did you watch it, Succession?
I saw a couple episodes. My husband watched it, so I saw an episode every here and there. But it looks good, but it was just too intense for me to watch at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's like a bit of an funnier version of Arrested Development. So.
Well, put that on the poster.
I'm not saying that it's worse. I'm just saying that it doesn't try to be as funny as. So, is there anything artistic about Anna Karenina?
Absolutely. I mean, the performances, the music, the direction, even the weird stuff that didn't end up working. That takes kind of a artistic genius to like work that all out in his head and then get hundreds of people to create your vision. So yes.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that for me, like the core is like that. How do you say? Like that staging, that actual like setting, like the theater, like vibe into it. You know, I just wish that he actually had doubled down and just say that he's like, I'm only going to be doing like open air scenes when we're on the field. So the
like
contrast
is sort of minimalist.
Yeah, maybe, you know, like Dogville mixed up with Lawrence of Arabia.
Okay.
You know, I think that would have worked. And it would have been like just making the point across, like just selling the beauty of, of the open air scenes and just being like more claustrophobic and oppressive on the close ones. I think that there were like the elements were there, but he didn't commit. But still artistic from that perspective.
So the answer is
yes, my answer is yes. Is it a timeless piece?
Yes.
You doubt it?
Well, I was like, am I saying yes to the novel, which is obviously timeless? But no, the movie itself is going to be perceived the same in 100 years that it will be today.
It would be equally confusing. I agree. I was debating between yes and no. Exactly for that. That is, the takeaway from the book that you described, it sounds like way more appealing than this, because my takeaway was divorce is bad and women are witches. And I don't know if it's like truly timeless, you know, like a timeless lesson for our lives. Would you turn Anna Karenina into a TV show?
Honestly, maybe. Yeah, I would say yes. I'm guessing it already has been. Oh, dang. See, I'm confusing the book and the TV and the movie. I would not turn Anna Karenina, the movie, into a TV show. No.
You wouldn't?
No.
Okay. All right. That's fair. I wouldn't do it either, but I find fascinating that it was published by installments, because that means that from a format perspective, is that probably the book was even written as something that it could be adapted like episode by episode.
That's an interesting point. And I'm guessing this was published in a magazine, chapter by chapter.
Yeah, probably. Do you think that this could have been a short?
Under an hour? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think that, I agree. I think that this could have been a short with with what we see on the screen. It's like with what you describe, like from the book, it's like probably not. But what we see from the screen is that I think that you could have removed 1 hour and having the same chaos, the same mess.
I agree.
Do you think that this movie could have been better?
Yep.
Yeah, me too. I think that we gave already a lot of reasons why. Should we score it?
Yes, this was your pick, so I'm gonna give it a 6.5.
Okay. My score is a 5.5.
That tracks with, I think I enjoyed it more than you did, but we
Yeah.
both acknowledge there's some merit to this film.
Yeah, there is artistic merit. I don't want to deny that. I still want to recognize it, but I don't want to balloon it into him thinking that this was a good movie. This was not a tournament.
All right.
But yeah. So, as this was my pick, what are we watching next?
I'm picking the movie Weekend by, I'm sorry, the reason I paused is because that's another director whom I love that I can't remember his name. Andrew Haidt?
I think so. I'm just taking it right now on the fly. Yeah, Andrew Hay. Yeah.
So this was the first film and an astonishingly, we don't have to review it yet, but
Yeah.
he directed 45 Years, which is the best movie of the last 2 decades. So.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Well, that's very high expectations then that you are creating for this movie.
No. Lots of people make one good film. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Anything else to say about Anna Karenina?
Just go for the book. Read the book.
The 1,000-page book. All right. Well, to everyone else out there, those 3 people listening to us, thank you so much for putting up with us.
And until next time.
All right. Bye.